Good morning, Bucknutters. You may be surprised to hear my voice this morning. This is Dan Rubin. I am joined by Steve Wiltfong. It is Fridays with Wiltfong. Yes, my little Dave Biddle is on vacation for the weekend, taking his family to Disney World. So we flipped around. Dave took Thursday. I've got Friday. But all we're talking about today is recruiting with Steve Wiltfong. This will be Steve's last appearance before signing day next week. Steve, thanks for adjusting your schedule and joining us on this fine Friday morning.
Good morning, Dan. I'm just here. I'm glad that my Twitter hasn't been hacked, and I'm glad that reporters haven't taken my comments out of context, even though 15 recorders were in front of my face.
I would say that my Twitter has been hacked. It's starting to fall in line with I retired to spend more time with my family.
There's an epidemic of Twitters getting hacked among high school football prospects that it's just, they got to get better passwords, Dan. They just got to get better passwords. Yeah, and they're easy targets. They must be easy targets.
Epidemic is definitely the word I would use. I would think, from a national scale, it really does threaten the fiber of this great country. But we'll get through this signing day and then we'll focus on that. The Ohio State recruiting staff focused on several interesting names. We're definitely in the stretch run here with Wednesday coming up. So we're going to go down the list with Mr. Wiltfong, the Director of Recruiting for 24 Sports. I'll try and keep my mouth shut before he responds. I just get so excited when Steve talks, I have to jump in. But there's some guys who will be on some official visits this weekend, so we'll start with them. The first, a name that's gained a lot of steam lately, Utah's very own Porter Gustin. What are your feelings on the standout outside linebacker defensive end hybrid?
Well, first of all, I think he's just a phenomenal high school football player. I've written this numerous places. Was on the Bucknuts board this week. I think he can play everything on defense on the high school football field, but projects as that defensive end outside linebacker in college. Actually played Mike linebacker at the U.S. Army All-America Bowl. So I've spent a lot of time with Porter because Porter was a U.S. Army All-America Bowl Player of the Year candidate, so I went out to New York with Porter. And Ohio State was always that third school he mentioned, and then they were again the third school he mentioned at the Army Bowl. They may be the first school he mentions next week when he announces his college decision. The Buckeyes are closing fast on the two Pac-12 schools that he's held at the top of his list for a long time in USC and Arizona State. One of the reasons why he never made a decision between USC and Arizona State is because he hadn't seen Ohio State yet, and he wanted to get out and see the Buckeyes. He's going to see Ohio State this weekend. There's no question that he sees a tremendous opportunity with what Ohio State has accomplished on the field and then what the coaching staff has accomplished not only at Ohio State but just each of the assistants at various stops through their career. Porter sees nothing but success happening in Columbus. So will it be the right fit for him? We'll see this weekend. He's been known to. He'll eliminate you if you're not right for him. He did that with Notre Dame. Went out to Notre Dame earlier this fall. Said it was an okay visit, but just wasn't for him. So he won't string anyone along. So Ohio State should know where they stand. I do think he was torn between Arizona State and USC. So we'll see if Ohio State can just make it easy for him and see if he'll be a Buckeye on Wednesday.
What's interesting, for those who don't know, schools compensate the individual who's going on the official visit, but they don't compensate any family members you bring. And Gustin is coming with 6 or 7 family members. And go Google the flights to get yourself from Salt Lake City to Columbus. That's a pretty penny, man. So they are invested in this visit, both, it sounds like, spiritually and financially. And that's good news. The next.
And that shows you how interested. That shows you how interested Porter and his family are in Ohio State, because when he came and visited Notre Dame, he just did it with a couple coaches. So there's obvious real interest. Alex Gleitman's already made the crystal ball prediction for Ohio State for Porter Gustin. I want to see how it goes this weekend before I switch from USC, but make no mistake about it. I think that Ohio State has a strong shot at landing Porter. He announces Tuesday, signing day is Wednesday.
Very cool. What wasn't very cool was losing Carlton Davis late in the game. A lot of people thought this would happen. Then there was some, even when he committed back in the day, and then there was some sentiment he would stick around. There were some articles even from his family kind of leading us to believe he would stick around. And then it turns out he is going to be going to Auburn. So there are some other defensive backs that have seen their name rise up the board. One of them is Damon Arnett out of the factory that is Fort Lauderdale St. Thomas Aquinas /Bosa. He's committed to South Carolina, but he will be here this weekend. What are you hearing on Damon Arnett?
Well, I think he's Ohio State's top remaining target at the defensive back position. He's coming in this weekend, committed to South Carolina, took an official visit to Michigan a couple weeks ago. Talking to 24/7 Sports National Insider Orion Barta, who lives down in Fort Lauderdale, he thinks that with a strong visit, Ohio State can flip Damon Arnett. So we'll see what happens this weekend. He's certainly another guy that could end up signing with Ohio State next Wednesday, and that'd be something that Urban Meyer and the staff would be very happy about. And going back to Carlton Davis, we talked about it a little bit last week, or I think it was last time I was on the show, where these prospects act like they're protecting world secrets with what school they're going to. And with Carlton Davis, with the kid, I get it. You're a kid. We're not fully functioning people in the male race till we're 25 years old. So anything you do before you're 25, as long as it's not a felony, good, fine. I'm good with it. You can, maybe I can't relate to it, but I'm good with it. For Carlton Davis's dad telling Bill Kurelic, don't believe everything you read, come on, man. If your kid's going to Auburn, your kid's going to Auburn. Don't lie to a reporter about it at the suspense of a decision, in my opinion. You know, if your kid's not going to Ohio State anymore, and one grown man calls another grown man and says, hey, asking you about your commitment to Ohio State, I'm not even saying just don't say don't believe everything you read. If everything you read's true, don't lie, right? Don't lie. But either way, there won't be much drama with Carlton Davis now because Ohio State, as myself and Alex Gleitman wrote yesterday, Carlton Davis is not going to Ohio State. So the Buckeyes fans don't need to worry about that, and there's no drama on that end.
No, I agree with you. There's no statistic on this, but I've been doing this long enough that the individuals who go through recruitments that tend to end like this or be very roller coasterish or change their mind a lot, their transfer rate is higher than the kids who just commit and go to the school. I'll guarantee it. I mean, there's no way to scientifically go through and do that. I'm sure there is. I certainly don't have the time or money to do it, but it always makes me a little oogie. All right, two other guys. First, K.J. Hill, the wide receiver, once verbally committed to Arkansas. That is no longer the case. There are some who really think he could be a Buckeye.
I think Ohio State's the team to beat right now. I wrote that story earlier this week on how the top 10 could look on signing day, and I had K.J. Hill as part of Ohio State's class, top 247 receiver, the nation's number 16 receiver overall, according to the 24/7 Sports Composite, another U.S. Army All-American. Alabama seems to be the competition. Alabama's trying to decide what they're going to do with their numbers down the stretch, but KJ could fit into their plans, and then you have a good old-fashioned Urban Meyer, Nick Saban recruiting battle going into Wednesday. I talked to our Arkansas insider, Otis Kirk, who does a phenomenal job, and I asked Otis earlier this week if he thought KJ would be part of Arkansas's class, and he said no. So right now, I feel really good about Ohio State, and we'll see what happens, with less than a week to go.
And the final name I want to talk about in terms of guys who have kind of been dramatic down the stretch, and this one has been really dramatic down the stretch, and I think there's a theme developing here with Nick and Herb, and that is Isaiah Prince, the offensive lineman out of Eleanor Roosevelt High School in suburban Maryland. Very, very good high school football. Very, very, very well coached, too, I might add. That's a reputation for that school. Guys that come out of there are usually ready to get it done. What is your vibe on Isaiah Prince heading into the big day?
Well, first of all, I love his upside. I mean, 6'6", 275 pounds, roughly at the U.S. Army All-America Bowl. just going to easily put on 25, 30 pounds and just be a fantastic player once he gets that year or two of development. When he committed to Alabama, again, it's like Ohio State. I put Alabama and Ohio State in the same. These are the only two schools that I put on this level, and a lot of it's because of Nick Saban and Urban Meyer. But I never count them out when a kid visits. So when Isaiah Prince took that visit to Alabama the weekend of the 16th, all my intel was that Ohio State and Maryland were the top two. That was the intel I was getting. But he takes the visit to Alabama and then commits a day later. That stuff doesn't surprise me, even though it went against the intel. And then obviously he sneaks on to Ohio State's campus for the visit, and then we take him off the Alabama commit list. Our network does. I think that was 2 days ago. It was the same day as Carlton Davis. So was that yesterday? Days are starting to run together. So he's now off the Alabama commit list. I still think it's Maryland or Ohio State. He's visiting Maryland this weekend. Maryland's obviously got Mike Loxley recruiting him, who's one of the best recruiters in the country, and the DMV deal and all that, getting local kids to stay at Maryland. There's going to be that's something that's definitely enticing to Isaiah, but I also think playing for the defending national champs is something that's exciting to Isaiah also, and I think he had a great visit. And the Buckeyes are certainly in it, and we'll see what happens this weekend. But it's Ohio State or Maryland in my mind.
So I assume you'll be going out of town next weekend, probably going to the beach somewhere, taking some time off?
Well, I'll be on the beach, but in a building at CBS in Fort Lauderdale doing the CBS Sports online signing day deal. But, I remember being on the phone with you last year from there, talking signing day switches and things of that went in the Buckeyes' favor, and hopefully I'm doing something like that again this year.
No doubt, and I was just setting you up for all. Make sure you tune in. CBS Sportsline does an online video presentation when you get to see the handsome mug of Steve Wiltfong for over a few hours during signing day. I think it just makes it a better signing day overall. Steve, we cannot appreciate more. We'll talk to you on Thursday to wrap up signing day. Hopefully it'll be a good one for the Bucks. Things have been going kind of well for them lately, so.
I appreciate that. Well, we had Urban Meyer on last year, and the question I actually asked Urban last year on signing day was, did he have the program where he wanted it going into the fall with the recruiting classes that he was able to add? I think that was his third class last year. Was that his third class? And
yeah.
He said that the program was where he wanted it, other than that he had a question mark at linebacker. And he thought if the linebackers elevated their play from the season before to this year, that they could win the national championship. So, they obviously won the national championship. And, he got good linebacker play, but he got a lot of good play from a lot of different people.
I look forward to see what position group he says this year.
See many holes on that roster.
No doubt, and it's a good thing. Steve, we appreciate it. Enjoy the fast and furious next few days. I'm sure you're going to have your cell phone surgically attached to your ear. So,
absolutely. And make sure you change your Twitter password, prospects. We don't need you getting hacked and people then knowing to say that you decommitted. We don't want any of that happening. So
we want the hacking epidemic to stop. It's crushing everybody. Thank you, Bucknutters. Have a great one.